Stick around if you want to hear the latest news about CBDCs or central bank digital currencies and what's going on in the UK. I'm going to highlight 5 really important things that came out of the latest Bank of England meeting about the subject, and I'm going to share one mind-blowing fact that nobody's talking about. I'm just going to share some news and information for you. You can go and check the facts out for yourself if you want, but I've done all the hard work for you. So quickly, what is a CBDC? Well, it's a digital form of money that is centrally controlled, either by a central bank or a government or an agency. In the UK's case, it's the Bank of England, supported by the HM Treasury. There's actually 2 types of CBDC. There's retail, which is what is used by consumers for making things like payments and bank accounts. And then there is wholesale. And wholesale is where you have like interbank transfers of large financial amounts. For consumers, most payments are already digital, but the funds are recorded in ledgers held by the banks, the retail banks that we see on the high street, although less and less at the moment. The retail banks maintain details of your bank account. Quick spoiler alert, it's not actually your money once you deposit it, but that's another story for another day. When you pay for something in a shop or a restaurant or even online, that's actually done via what's known as a payment service provider. And examples of that would be WorldPay, Stripe and Barclaycard. That then goes through a series of processes, including via the Bank of England, through something called RTGS, which is the real-time gross settlement system. This is where the banks are constantly working out who owns what to whom and make the actual payments between the accounts. This eventually ends up with the supplier receiving the payment for the goods or services that you've bought. There's various types of payment services as well, so you may hear things like CHAPS, banks and fast payments. Then there's the SWIFT payment system, which the banks use to actually communicate with each other all the messages of all these transactions. It's all actually a bit smoke and mirrors, but it looks like it happens instantly, but actually it doesn't. The Bank of England recently published its latest minutes from the exploratory work it's doing, and these are really interesting notes to be reading. The proposal is that instead of each person having a bank account with a bank, there'll be a single central ledger, which each person will access via their wallet. This will massively transform and simplify transactions. It'll make them faster, easier and cheaper, as it'll remove the need for a whole load of reconciliations and intermediaries. The Bank of England's exploring the design of this solution at the moment, so it's not all finalised yet, but 5 things to watch out for. Firstly, a single ledger means a single point of control and a single point of failure. At the moment, if one retail bank goes offline, that doesn't affect the accounts of people with other banks. Be mindful of that word control too. The Bank of England currently says that the money will not be programmable. This is a concept similar to smart contracts in blockchains, where you can actually potentially control from a trigger who gets paid, when, where and how, or even if they are paid at all. The third thing currently is they are proposing a limit of between £10,000 and £20,000. That does not mean you will not be allowed to have more money. It just means that for now they're only testing it up to that level, as they're obviously being cautious. The statement about the digital pound, as it's being called in the UK, is that it would be private but not anonymous, which is curious. And then fifthly, it says that the bank and the government would not have access to your private data. Something to ponder. Anyway, that's 5 important things to consider. And then I mentioned a mind-blowing thing that you may have spotted already. There's no longer a need for high street banks. Timetable-wise, Bank of England says that prototypes won't be developed until 2015 at the earliest, so there's a few years to go yet before all this happens, but do keep an eye out for future announcements, as this might get accelerated. Hope you found this of interest and of use. No spooky music, sticking to the facts. Follow me if you found that of interest, and keep an eye out listening for more.